A new corruption scandal is shaking the Philippines, and this time it's hitting the highest levels of power. 7 individuals have been arrested in an expanding investigation into an alleged multi-billion peso fraud involving flood control projects. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. announced the arrests Monday, pledging to restore public trust amid growing outrage over what many see as yet another chapter in the country's long battle with systemic corruption. Authorities confirmed that 7 suspects connected to the scheme are now in custody, with more fugitives being pursued across the country and abroad. The scandal centers on government-funded flood control projects that were either poorly implemented or never built at all. A disastrous blow for a nation regularly devastated by typhoons and floods. For decades, corruption has plagued public works in the Philippines. Critics say this latest scandal exposes just how deep the problem runs. The tragedy, many argue, is that substandard infrastructure in a flood-prone nation directly costs lives. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. This isn't the first time corruption has brought down a Philippine presidency. Both Ferdinand Marcos Sr. and Joseph Estrada were ousted in peaceful uprisings after being accused of massive plunder. The anti-corruption court Sandigan Bayan has formally charged more than a dozen suspects in what could become dozens of separate graft cases. Among the accused are Zaldy Co, a former lawmaker, and several public works engineers linked to questionable flood control contracts in Oriental Mindoro province. Investigators pointed specifically to a 289 million peso, $4.8 million river dike project awarded to SunWest Corp, a construction company reportedly owned by Co's family. President Marcos said one of the suspects was apprehended in Quezon City over the weekend, while 6 others turned themselves in. He used a Facebook post to urge the remaining suspects to surrender voluntarily, warning that authorities will continue hunting them down. In his words, the crackdown will not stop. Interior Secretary John Vic Remula revealed that the alleged mastermind, Co, might have fled the country. Reports suggest that 3 additional suspects could surrender through Philippine embassies in the United States, New Zealand, and Jordan. No matter where you are in the world, we will find you, Remula vowed during a press briefing, where photographs of the detained suspects wearing orange prison shirts were displayed. Witnesses have told investigators, including during Senate hearings and before a special fact-finding commission, that several lawmakers enriched themselves through hefty kickbacks from construction firms favored with flood control contracts. Some Department of Public Works and Highways officials even admitted under oath that they facilitated these schemes in exchange for cash rewards. The stories of luxury cars, private jets, opulent mansions, and overflowing cash briefcases have fueled rage among ordinary citizens. The public anger is growing. A massive protest endorsed by the Roman Catholic Church is scheduled for November 30. Demonstrators demand accountability and transparency, not only from the implicated officials, but also from those at the very top who may have turned a blind eye. Among those named are Representative Martin Romualdez, the president's cousin and political ally, and former Senate President Chiz Escudero. Both have stepped down from their posts while denying any involvement. The proximity of these figures to the presidential circle raises uncomfortable questions about whether the crackdown will be truly impartial. Presidential aides insist that Marcos himself is not implicated, emphasizing that he brought national attention to the issue back in July during his State of the Nation address. Still, skeptics argue that the timing of the arrests and the political ties among the accused could influence how justice is served. So far, at least 9,855 flood control projects worth more than 545 billion pesos, $9 billion, are under review for possible fraud. Finance Secretary Ralph Recto recently estimated that roughly 118.5 billion pesos, $2 billion, may have been funneled into corrupt hands since 2023. Officials also plan to extend the probe to projects from the administration of former President Rodrigo Duterte, suggesting that the misconduct may span multiple governments. Here's the debate. Is this a genuine cleansing of a corrupt system or a carefully timed political show to silence rivals? Should President Marcos be commended for confronting corruption or criticized for not acting sooner? Share your thoughts. Is this a turning point for Philippine politics or just history repeating itself under a new name?